Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Buddy Study Group. And for today's call, we are going to do a session that we do once every 6 months. And surprise, it's been 6 months since we've done this session last. And really, honestly, blink and you'll miss it. I can't believe it's been 6 months. Felt like it's been maybe 3 weeks since we've done this. But we're going to do our Tech and Tools exhibition today. And this is really a session that is designed to not only promote some of the new tech that we've been using or that we have been hearing about that we think can be really helpful to long-term care specialists trying to do more with less or trying to scale their business or trying to be more efficient and identifying those tools that allow you to get some time back and spend that time doing what you do best. But also, I want to kind of give the same talk I give twice a year because I think it's really, really important, whether you've heard it before or you're new to this study group. I want to help you understand the mentality that you really need to adopt when you're going out there and you're evaluating tech for your business. Because sometimes we can feel a little lost in the ocean, right? Sometimes we can just find ourselves sitting there and saying, well, everybody's using tech in their business. I need to use tech. I think for most of us, that's an agreeable statement. Tech can help our business quite a bit. But I think most people do their thinking kind of in the wrong order of operations, or maybe not going about their tech search in the right way. So I want to kind of give you a mentality of what tech that I look for, how I actually start off on that search, and then from there, how I take the initial steps in finding tech solutions that might be able to do what I need for my day-to-day work. So throughout this session, I really hope to hear from you all because honestly, tech is advancing so fast that we can do this session every 6 months and there will be something new to talk about. And there will be things that we don't talk about or we don't even know yet. And by we, I mean the buddy team that somebody else has found that could be really helpful. So partially this is to educate you on things that can help your business, but we also look for a little bit of education from you guys on what you're learning in your day to day. So definitely as we're going here, feel free to drop your favorite tools that in the last 6 months to a year you've discovered and are really helping your business. So with that out of the way, I really want to talk mentality around technology. And I know several people have said this approach has really helped them to find some tech that will assist them in their day to day. So I always want to make sure I review this. I think it's super important, especially for us, right? We are long-term care specialists generally with pretty small teams, or there are many of you who are actually doing this solo, right? So I am one person, business owner looking to serve hundreds and hundreds of clients, right? So at the end of the day, there is always an opportunity for you to find a way to do more with less, right? And you need to do more with less, given that you're a small team, or maybe I know a lot of you have, say, one assistant that's helping you, but the two of you can get overloaded very quickly. So it's really important that your tech search is efficient and really helps you to scale, right? Just being able to handle more things in your day to day. And I think for you all, we know the most important thing that you all do every single day is meet with families and talk to them about long-term care planning, help them to find a plan, and of course, get them to take action. So your most important activities are keeping meetings on the calendar, right? Attending these meetings, doing your follow-up outreach, And I think really spending the most time on stage as you possibly can, right? The more of your day-to-day that you're spending talking to people, the better. So really all this is about trying to do that more. But in your day-to-day, you may not be spending as much time as you like on meetings. So you really need to evaluate that, right? So audit your practice and really think about what tasks do I do every day, repeatedly, that I probably shouldn't be doing or shouldn't have to do. I would think about things that if you were to hire somebody to be your assistant, what tasks would you have them do? And I know everybody can think of one or two tasks that you would like to get off your plate as soon as possible or have it take up less of your time. So I'm big on 80/20 principles. What do I spend 80% of my time on that's only producing 20% of my revenue? What am I spending 20% of my time on that is resulting in 80% of my revenue? Or of course, any derivative therein that you can think of, right? What is taking up far more time than it is bringing in dollars to your business? Those are the absolute first things that you want to try to replace, especially if you repeat them on a day-to-day basis. Repeatable tasks are generally tasks that are a very good fit for tech solutions. So you think about things like sending out um, reminder emails, sending out feelers or touch points to people that you're working with. A lot of those things can be automated, especially if you have a good CRM. We use HubSpot at Buddy INS, but there are plenty of CRMs that can do this out there to say, if I'm working with a client and I have a deal in my CRM, if they have been in a certain stage, like we've had our first meeting but haven't booked the second meeting, if there's no contact made from the client to me in the next 3 days, I'm going to send out automatically a follow-up email to that client. And that's replicable for clients in all sorts of stages, um, of all shapes and sizes, right? So that's something that's repeatable that tech can take care of for you and eliminates the time you're maybe spent chasing people and allows you to focus on doing things like running quotes, meeting with the people who are getting on your calendar, right? Those are the most important things. In today's tech environment, things have advanced so much, especially with kind of the rise of AI. It's now, you know, within your wheelhouse to think, what tasks can I not do that I would like to have done that tech can do for me, right? So I think web page builders are easier than ever. There are a few AI platforms that actually help to develop a code base just from speaking to it in plain English. Developing things like social media campaigns, all sorts of items where I'd normally have to hire a developer for this, or I'd normally have to hire a social media specialist or a marketing person. You can now use tech to at least get the biggest chunk of that work done possible for you, so that all you really have to worry about is sort of editing, copy pasting, and hitting the post button, right? Or allowing the AI to run and do its thing while it builds something for you that you need. So I also want you to think about that. And I think if you can save even 5 minutes a day on a task, that's gigantic when you think about the fact that we have probably 300 or more work days out of the year. We're talking, uh, you know, 20 hours in a given year or more saved by saving 5 minutes a day. right? So who wouldn't sign off for an extra 3 days off a year, but the work still gets done, right? That's how you should think of this. Every incremental minute that you can save are minutes that you can put toward tasks that allow you to generate the revenue in only the way that you can. Or for some of you, if you're either getting toward the end of your careers or are finding yourself saying, man, I wish I could spend more time with my family. These are the ways that you get those crucial minutes back in your life to be able to do that, right? So that's really what's at stake here is the work-life balance, the focus on revenue generating activities, and getting to a place where everything in general just feels more comfortable, more covered, because it's hard resting your head on the pillow at night feeling like you still have 5 things that you have to do for the next day that you owed somebody today, right? It's kind of the nature of the business when you get busy. But if you can help manage and weather the tide with tech, definitely something to do. Once you kind of identify those tasks, right? I call them rocks in my shoe that I constantly have to do every day that annoy me, that aren't necessarily generating revenue directly, but they're things that just absolutely need to be done. And it's the nature of my business. Once you have an idea of those tasks, I would start with one, but maybe you can pick out 2 or 3. I would actually go to something like a Chat GPT, honestly, and type in, what those tasks are and prompt the AI to essentially give you a list of 3 to 5 recommended software platforms that can help automate that task or assist you with that task or save you time with that task. And to go a step further in the prompt, say, please give priority to platforms that have extensive free trials, a 7 to 14 day free trial, right? And the AI will help you to prioritize these things. And generally, when it gives you the output with the 3 to 5 softwares, it'll give a pretty good description depending on how you prompt it. And that will start to generate more ideas. I still think, even though AI is getting better and better every single day, I still think the absolute best thing that you can use it for now is idea generation. So don't just stop at using it as a Google search and taking what results you get verbatim. It will often follow up and try to invite you into further conversation about the topic, right? So once you kind of get that list of things, keep in mind your priorities. What platforms do you use? If I'm trying to do something that saves me time with emailing, I got to let it know what email platform I use, right? So recommend me platforms that work well and have good connectivity with Gmail, right? Or Microsoft Outlook, for example. Um, the opportunities are limitless. The market is becoming very saturated in a number of different areas. So I guarantee you, for any problem that you have, hundreds and hundreds of other people have the same problem they're trying to solve, and hundreds of developers have created tools that are designed to solve that problem. Just kind of the nature of the free market, right? So take those recommendations, really hone them into your personal setup, and you will get, when you're done, a finalist list of a couple of platforms that you can try out 100% for free. So there is absolutely no risk to trying out a software and figuring out that it doesn't really do what you want. You can always start a trial, drop it, and move on to the next one. And don't stop until you're completely satisfied. And you will know the feeling when you're satisfied with the tool. This is the way I've found a lot of my tech that helps me in my day to day. And our team has found a lot of our tech that helps us day in and day out. Right. So You'll know that feeling. You'll say, I've been waiting for this forever. I'm so glad I found it. That's the feeling you need to chase when you're looking for these. And if something misses the mark and you still have some finalists left to check out, keep going down the list because, with costs being as low as they are to do this sort of exercise, don't settle until you feel like you've gone through all your options and you have the best one. Uh, and I think even if you're looking for a specific tool, you're trying out a tool, and the tutorials aren't very good, people make a living by downloading and trying softwares and creating tutorials on YouTube for any of these tools. So I highly recommend if you're looking at a tool, you think it's going to do what you want, but you don't have time to be a PhD in that specific tool, go on YouTube, type in the tool, type in what you're trying to do with it. I guarantee you there's at least one tutorial from somebody, even if it's only a minute long. That really helps you scale your knowledge quickly because it's one thing to find the tool and adopt it. It's another thing to start getting really good with the tool. So that is really what I am thinking about when evaluating tech for our business and my day-to-day work. I plan for us to have another session at some point later in the year on AI itself. I think it's worthy of its own category now. Even just a couple of years ago, we were obviously exploring. We use it quite a lot day to day. But it has gotten better and better to the point where, you can have it autonomously run so many different things for you. And so we'll have a separate session on AI in general for long-term care business owners in general, small business owners. I think those are the people who are going to benefit the most from some of these tools that we're seeing out there on the market today. So does all that make sense? Does anybody have any questions or recommendations for tools that they've seen? Um, yeah, Chris, I remember you showed us a little bit about Typeform the other day. I think that's super helpful. I think it can really help, number one, capture information, but number two, if used in the right way for the right opportunity, can really help you educate clients ahead of time as well. So I think that's really helpful. Obviously, Linda uses form builders as well. We saw hers not too long ago when we were talking about field underwriting, and she's got a nice long form that is super easy to go through and gets her all the information she needs to be ready for the meeting. So that's something that gives you time back, right? If you're insistent on people filling out that form ahead of time, now you walk into the first meeting with all of the information you need to be able to guide this client instead of having to spend the first half hour of any given meeting fact finding. So that's kind of like a slam dunk tech solution to help give you some time back, right? Um, Matt says, happy to use tech to leverage itself to be able to engage with it less and reduce screen time. Exactly, right? What can we just kind of send a virtual employee on mission-wise that will really allow us to either do different things or just to get some time back and to stop being in front of a screen? Definitely, 100%. I think one of the tools that we've seen, and the reason why I want to have a separate session on AI, is a couple of our team members have really gotten into Claude Cowork. I don't know if anybody has a ton of information or kind of empirical use that they can share with us, but I guess the 30-second synopsis I can give you about Claude Cowork is it's again another AI platform that you can kind of speak to in plain English and it can run things that you couldn't even imagine. So when it comes to web pages. Our team likes to keep things very light. We use HubSpot. Like I mentioned, HubSpot has the ability to create landing pages. So oftentimes we'll do a lot of the page creation right within HubSpot because it's a nice, light, user-friendly tool. that we can use to build pages the moment we think of it. It's also those pages are also embeddable in the buddy system, right? So it really helps our specific use case. But a lot of times we have a need to custom develop certain elements of these pages, which requires coding knowledge. Nobody who is actually on our core internal team is a software developer. Hiring a full-time software developer is also very expensive. For many teams, it can be inefficient as well, just because the cycle of work is, you know, very hot and cold, right? Sometimes we have a lot of need for developers. Sometimes we don't have a lot of developer needs. So it can be hard to keep somebody on the payroll constantly. Um, for whenever you may need them, right? You want to make sure that you're getting the most out of everybody's hours. So I know Joe from our team uses uh, Claude and other AI sort of solutions to actually help to code an element. So you can describe it even on our new group sales process page that we have, for example. I can give you a live example. This is something that we actually um, worked on recently. And this is something that we actually put through AI to get, a custom coded element for. We wanted to, prompt the ability to code a custom element that flips through pages of a specific process and allows people to identify where they are in their process of working with group long-term care. Just like flipping pages of a book, and even the initial copy, even though we went back and edited it and made it sound like Buddy INS. I made it sound like me. A lot of this initial copy was actually, developed that way as well. So this custom coded element is beautiful, has nice little anchor links to each step, and has a cool little gamified animation, pages in a book flipping sort of element to it. We don't have the native expertise to develop something like that ourselves. But with a good enough prompt to something like Claude, it can actually spit out the embed code for something like that. And if you're looking to bring your website to the next level and you have a concept in mind, but you just don't know the ones and zeros required to make it real, I highly suggest looking into something like Claude. With Claude's co-work function, you can actually give it access to native folders on your computer and have it run operations for you autonomously. So, for example, if I have, say, a folder of commission statements in my computer, right? And this is just one of many examples. I could tell Claude Cowork, take every PDF that you see in this folder. Say I have like a 2026 commissions folder, right? I could say, take every PDF in this folder and the commissions received within and create a report for quarter 1 and quarter 2 commissions for the year, right? Show me, the total commissions received, show me the total premium on all of the policies, show me the total policies that I've written in quarter 1 and quarter 2, and create an Excel file that will allow me to compare 4 quarters and will give me a yearly running total of my commissions. And based on a goal of 250,000 commissions for the year, um, give me an idea of my progress in every quarter and what I still have to receive. And keep that live updated for me. So every time I drop a commission statement in this folder, continue to add data to the report. That is hugely powerful, right? And this is just one super small function that you can do with something like Claude Cowork. Anything you can imagine, you can get pretty darn close to it. I use it personally to develop, just my own financial reports. Gretchen, you're here at such a good time. We were just talking about, I was giving a 30-second synopsis on Claude Cowork and how it can help you generate things, even like that I thought about was like commission reports. If you have a
Yeah.
nice folder full of PDFs of your commissions for the year, you can have it create projections, you can have it create progress reports, and in general, keep yourself a lot more organized. But
Yes, that is true. That is true. And Jason, actually, we should once we're all more skilled at it, we should do a session just on Claude Cowork because I think it would save people a lot of time.
I talked to Joe this morning, and we're going to do a separate AI session where that's going to be probably the bulk of it.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
Joe is like our chief tech finder as of late,
Yeah.
and he has gone quite far down the rabbit hole of a lot of these tools. And the more practice you get at it, you'll get to a point where you feel like there's nothing that I'm capable of imagining that I can't develop at the end of the
Mhm.
day. So I think it's just removing a lot of roadblocks. And when you think about tech solutions, do they have to be 110% perfect at the end of the day? They don't. If they are good enough, clear enough, and functional enough to, again, save you time, but also realize value for you that you weren't realizing before and didn't think you were ever going to be able to realize, that is a win at the end of the day. So I think another session is merited on AI alone. But that's just an idea of how some of these platforms can help you scale. If you're not a developer, if you're not an Excel whiz like me, I mean, asking an AI to generate an Excel report that is better than something you could come up with in 5 hours in 2 minutes, uh, makes me a very happy man. I'm just gonna say that. One of the other platforms that I really want to give a shout out to, and we've done a standalone session on this for our worksite study group, but not for the individual, is Canva. That's something our team uses absolutely every single day. And it's something that you have probably come into contact with, whether you know it or not. Pieces generated by Canva are all over the buddy system. And one of the biggest um, Canva use cases that we have is actually for Product Buddy, right? So these one pagers that you see when you're in our Product Buddy tool, both on the group side and on the individual side, these pieces are developed using Canva. Okay. Canva makes things so easy to make beautiful flyers, one pagers, marketing pieces, PowerPoint presentations, uh, anything that you're designing within maybe like a Microsoft suite, you know you're limited as far as your design capabilities. Canva can really take things to the next level, and it's quicker than you think to develop your own handouts. And I bet you, if you're not using it for your business today, I guarantee you have a niece, nephew, uh, son or daughter, friend's child that is making baby shower invites using Canva. I know people who use Canva day in and day out just for little personal things, little hobby, crafting sort of uses. It's a pretty widespread tool. And in our marketing section, we actually have a number of different templates, like our social media templates. I have the individual filter on here. Let's see. We have a couple of other one-pager templates as well that we're working on for this is one that we're working on for the individual side, but just to give you an idea of how we use this for the group side, we create starter templates for certain carriers. So when you get a proposal back from a carrier, it's always best to summarize exactly what that proposal has yielded for the group, right? So we can go back and educate them on one page. Here's everything you need to know about the product. And we're building this for some individual products as well. But every single element on these pages that we have are completely and 100% editable, down to the colors, down to whose name is on here, uh, down to changing Buddy recommends to Steve recommends, right? You can make these your own with a little bit of our starter help, right? So we use this when I find out that a product has a brand new plan design in the state of Alaska. I come in here to develop custom one pagers so that we can insert them into our product buddy tool so that when somebody selects Alaska, they're getting the right plan design. But this is something where even if you were just doing this for individual carriers, I don't care much about group carriers, right? You can easily, with a Google search, One America logo, you can save a One America logo to your computer. I'll just do it. Why not? Let's make sure we get something good here. Yeah, we can save this. I have a One America logo that I've just saved to my computer. I can just pop this right here, and all of a sudden, I have a One America logo ready to go. I don't care about the standard. I can take this One America logo that I have here and pop it right into this one pager. And now all of a sudden, it's not Buddy recommends the standard. It's Steve recommends One America, right? And when I have an illustration done for a client, I don't have to go through the whole um, I don't have to go through the whole illustration with them for some light bedtime reading. I can just summarize everything on one page, right? So making some of your education process easier, but also having a really handsome leave behind piece for a client is something that we use Canva for all the time, right? And it really is as simple as that. Don't get yourself too intimidated. And any of these templates that we have in here are editable by you with a free Canva account. So even if you don't have one today, you can click through any of those elements and click to get a free Canva account, and you can be off and running doing some of this for yourself. So I highly recommend Canva for any designs. What else do I have on my little list here? I know we talked about AI, even though we said we weren't going to talk about AI, and we even use AI to find other AI tech, which is crazy. But many of you on this study group know about this because I kick about 30 of them out per study group session. But an automated note taker is something that I believe is essential to have as a long-term care specialist, financial professional in 2026, especially if the majority of your business is remote. Um, but even otherwise, having an app on your phone for recording is super, super helpful. These note takers essentially use the entire transcript of your call to generate a summary that have timestamps of the conversation, that have little two-sentence summaries of at 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the call, we discussed this. At 11 minutes and 30 seconds into the call, we discussed this. So it's doing a couple of things for you. Number one, we know that we're kind of bound to taking notes on each of our interactions with the client, especially if something goes south, um, being able to cover our butts with having really comprehensive notes taken is the way we can, avoid being taken advantage of in certain situations or just avoid certain litigation, right? At the end of the day. Um, and we want to be able to just reference client conversations to prepare ourselves for our next meeting, right? So we use Read.ai. I know a lot of people use Otter, some people use Clary, some people use Fireflies. There's all sorts of different note takers out there. I highly recommend you get one. You can even customize it to your calendar So you can say, don't have my AI note taker on the buddy study group so that Jason doesn't have to kick 35 AI note takers out of the call. You can say, have it on all of these client calls for the week. And if you have a recurring call, your platform may even say, get ready for your next meeting. Here's what you talked about last week on this recurring meeting so that you can catch yourself up. I know for the buddy team, we can't all be on the same meeting at the same time. And that's one of the reasons why we went on a search for the right note taker for us. So that if I am on one meeting and Mark is on another, we can have our AI send out the summary to each other. So I can read the notes on the meeting that I wasn't on, and Mark can read the notes for the meeting that I was on and he wasn't. So especially if you've got a larger team, that can be really helpful. But I think even just being able to copy and paste the summaries into your CRM or wherever you do your record keeping for the conversation is huge. That's a huge, huge advantage. And a lot of them come packed with AI features. So if I had a conversation 3 weeks ago with somebody and I want to remember what tool they mentioned to me to help with a certain task, I can go back into my notes and say, what was the tool that this person recommended that I use for automating my outreach, right? And it'll give me that answer and it'll show me right in the conversation where I had that. So I think a note taker is super, super helpful. I think a lot of you are using them, but I think it's one of those things that I want to make sure I say if you're not using one, use it because I think every single Tech and Tools exhibition we've had outside of this one, my number one recommendation was an automated appointment scheduler. And I think that word has gotten out quite a bit. I don't know many people who aren't using an automated appointment scheduler. But if you're not, I'll just say it again. You can't afford not to have a digital calendar and a platform like Calendly that allows people to schedule with you based on your availability. You do not need an assistant just to be an appointment setter. Calendly covers the confirmations, it covers giving the availability, it covers so many different things. You can have Calendly's for just one person meeting with you. You can have Calendly's for three of your team members and you meeting together. We probably have over 200 different Calendly events for different purposes, and we use it for a lot of things. Make sure that you're using one. Google Drive, I really want to give a shout out to. I know not everybody uses Google Drive, but for those of you who don't know, Google has really started promoting a lot their AI platform, Gemini. And if you are a Google Suite user, so you use Gmail for your email, you use Google Calendar, you use Google Drive for a lot of your file keeping, you can integrate Google Drive with your desktop. You can take items from your computer and put them straight into Google Drive through your desktop. And Gemini is actually capable of reading all of the folders. So it'll read everything you share with it and nothing you don't. And you can actually open Gemini when you're in Google Drive and say, pull up XYZ document or contract or sample certificate and it does a really good job of actually pulling those files. Let's see if I can cook up an example real quick because um, we're working on a lot using Gemini as well. Let's see. Um, I am prompting it right now, and we'll see what it pulls out for us. All right. bear with me. I'm asking it to show me a Transamerica contract for Vermont. And what I would get into the practice too, and we're eventually going to bring something like this to you. Um, you can see when Google actually answers one of your inquiries, it's going to cite its sources. So it will actually point you to what source am I getting this information from. So if you keep your Google Drive really clean and ask it to pull you a bunch of sources that mention Transamerica or the TransElite product or Transamerica's Universal Life, it will pull you a lot of those correct documents. And you have the ability to just copy a link to that. And when you paste that link, it'll actually take you directly to that file, which is pretty darn cool. So if I said I needed, Transamerica's extension of benefits rider contract on their Vermont TransElite product, I can actually pull that. Gemini will also summarize the document when you pull it up. Um, and there's a lot you can do here. Requesting e-signature on certain documents, right? So the fact that it can, um, pull a lot of this information based on a plain English inquiry really shows us, Buddy INS internally, that the better we manage our storage, the better our naming conventions are for saving things, in our drive, the more Gemini can actually do for us and do quickly. And I find that I'm using it every single day. Um, I know a lot of us get hundreds of emails a day. Gemini for Gmail works really well too. Pull all of the emails I have from this person that have an attachment and display them for me. That has really helped me because a lot of the product information, getting so many emails a day, sometimes you miss things. And if I want to pull every attachment I can from one person who I know has been sending me materials over and over again, I scrape my email in just 5 seconds for all of the materials that I could have possibly missed, right? So I think more than ever, um, there's a lot that's helping you with things that you just don't need to be spending your time on. I know diving into your inbox and trying to find those attachments yourself can be, sometimes a 20-minute task that doesn't actually take you anywhere, right? So I think there's more and more solutions that are just trying to give us time back. They involve AI more than ever, some in a very light capacity, some in a very heavy capacity. We'll do a separate session on that, in general. But I think lean into a lot of the things that are being recommended today and take what I had mentioned in the beginning of the session, really evaluate the rocks in your shoe and use something like ChatGPT to explain your problem and with real specificity what you need to solve, what platforms you use currently to do what you're doing, and you will find something. I think the goal of today is to help even one person save 1 minute a day, right? Again, 300 work days at least, 300 minutes, that's 5 hours a year back. And you can repeat that process and start saving a minute a day in a lot of different areas. And you're going to be really excited about all that you have time for, at the end of the day. And you'll be able to keep up your same efficiency or maybe scale your efficiency even more while doing less of the work that you don't want to do. And that's really the key to today's discussion. So with AI, you save hours per week. Me too, Chris. I mean, and a lot of times you're starting to see it come built in to every single platform that you're already using. I think personally, Microsoft is lagging a little bit behind with some of the capabilities of its AI solutions, but it's only going to get better and better. I think, um, yeah, hours per week is a really good way to put it, and you need to check the work always. But the amount of upfront legwork that can be accomplished for you nowadays is unbelievable, and I think it's just up to your personal audit of your business, what you're doing, what you'd like to do, and your imagination at the end of the day. The farther you take some of these prompts, the better of a product you're going to end up with at the end of the day. So I'm just here to encourage you to take those leaps and think about what you'd like to scale a little bit more. Think about tasks you'd never like to do again. Copilot for emails or items in the mailbox, ChatGPT for business, Perplexity for personal. Okay, I like that. And I think many people have really developed sort of a suite of things, of AI tools that they use for different purposes. I mean, it's the same for us. So we use ChatGPT for sort of idea generation. We use Gemini for quick retrieval of materials. We use Read AI for note taking and referring back on conversations. We use Claude for a lot of development and certain formatting of marketing communications for sure. Matt says AppSheet for CRM with Gemini across all your data and apps. Now, that's an interesting one. I was hoping during this session that we would get a lead on a new tool that might be able to help us. I'm going to go and discover what AppSheet is all about because, um, you know, we are absolutely always looking for data help, CRM management. I'm going to give that one a shot. Any comments you have on AppSheet and what specifically it's helped you with? Custom code any needs using Gemini and it's all under one workspace. That's interesting. I'm definitely going to check that out. HIPAA, everything is under that security and agreement. Very cool. I'm gonna, it's nice that I can take my own medicine and go research this. So thank you for the recommendation. But if nobody has anything else to share or any other questions,
I've got
hey,
one.
Jeff.
Hi. One of the best tools that I've started using in the last 6 months is WhisperNet. Um, it is a speech to text converter that
Hmm.
also works on the iPhone, but it's a great Windows app. And I don't type anything anymore. And it's particularly useful for AI, but I use it on everything.
Hmm.
And it may be because when I first started out a long time ago, I grew up with what they used to call secretaries and a dictation system of handheld recorders and
Oh,
letters.
yeah.
Letters got done that way, and it was so I got used to talking into a recorder, and maybe it's something you have to learn. I'm not sure, but it saves me a lot of time. And with AI, of course, the most important thing is the context of your challenge or your problem, and then forming the prompt. But the context is really important. So you can talk to it like you're talking to a friend. And then finally, on this is that you can create an alternate you and have your expertise built into the AI, and then just keep feeding it more and more information. And when you're doing it with WhisperNet, it saves tons of time.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think some of us are far more well-spoken or ideate more when we're speaking out loud than we are when we're writing and vice versa. So I think something that really helps you just kind of get on a stream of consciousness and have something that you know is listening fully and kind of helping to adjust, whatever choppiness you may have in that stream of consciousness and really just to bounce ideas off is super helpful. It'd be
Yeah,
great to be
AI does not care if you're verbose. It'll
right,
go on and on and on.
right. It'd be great to be able to use AI and API to create a custom platform for research, quoting, and enrollment all in one place for all carriers, simplified down to something like a drop ticket. Yeah, data aggregation is going to get a whole lot easier. Agreed. Um, yeah, and I think there's going to be a lot more of that coming soon. I know that NGL for their underwriting side is already starting to use Pathworks AI, who are friends of Buddy INS, who are really focusing in and putting a lot of chips in on um, an AI underwriting tool and system. So I think a lot of kind of siloed AIs are practicing a bit of division of labor, and when the larger carriers start to integrate them, that's where we're going to start to see a lot of the magic happen. And when that funding is able to reach a lot of those tools to help them do things that they can't do today. Yeah, can't wait to see what the next 6 months is going to be like. Thank you for that, Dave. I will check that out. I appreciate that. And thank you for the link to Whisperflow. Cool. Awesome. Well, I've got a lot of homework to take back and things to research. So thank you for sharing what's worked for you lately. Hope we can all continue to learn from each other as we're kind of entering this brave new world here. Appreciate you all. For those of you who are normally on our Thursday study groups, we will not have a Thursday study group this coming week. A lot of the buddy team is going to be gone for some team building and strategic planning. So we will catch you next Tuesday, so a week from today, and we'll have the Thursday study group next week as usual. We're actually going to have the standard on to talk about their long-term and short-term disability on the group side. So that'll be really exciting. Very reputable name for LTD and STD. So very interesting there. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for contributing to the conversation and listening to some of my ramblings about tech. I hope you take this with you and some of the links that everybody has shared and find something that's really going to push you just that extra inch forward today. So be well, and we'll talk to you this time next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.